Well, hello everyone. Just want to check in with you guys. It's been kind of a weird week for us here. As you might have heard, there's a lot of fires burning in the Pacific Northwest. So we've pretty much just been hunkered down. Haven't been doing much, just keeping an eye on where things are at as far as fires moving towards us and whether or not we have to evacuate. For now, we're doing good, so hopefully it stays that way. We know there's a lot that have had to evacuate, and even some that have lost their homes, so our hearts go out to those ones. As far as this week's video, what we have for you is a garden tour with Dede. Hope you enjoy.
Hello, I am taking you guys into the garden today. Bear with me, I don't make a lot of videos. That's Robert's thing. I tend to find myself kind of awkward on videos, so but he asked me to do this, and so I'm going to. He really wanted to update everybody on the garden, so here we go. So first of all, we will talk about the fact that we are in fact located in Oregon. We are in Southern Oregon, and Southern Oregon, well, most of Oregon, Washington, and California are currently very much battling wildfires. So yeah, we have a lot of smoke that we're dealing with. So what would be sunny blue skies is actually just very smoky skies. And I'll see if I can show you. So I don't know if you could really see that, but the sun is very like shadowed. This is actually the first day we can actually see the sun poking through in several days. The smoke cleared out just a little bit this morning, and then it kind of blew back in. We do have a couple fires burning close to us, one on the back side or the south side of our property, and then there's a really large one on the north, kind of north of us, and that one was burning north, but the winds have changed, and so that's burning in our direction now. I think they're being able to largely get it under control, but there is still a threat there. So we're just keeping our eye on it and making sure to watch the evacuation maps, and just kind of keeping our eyes open and waiting and watching, keeping all of the animals close by so that if we do need to evacuate, we can throw everybody in the car quickly and take off. So again, bear with me, I don't do a lot of video, and so I find myself looking at the camera picture as opposed to you guys, so sorry about that. Anyway, so I'll take you around and show you what's going on with the garden, because we can't really mow or weed eat or run chainsaws or pretty much do anything like that at all right now. The garden is a mess, and we still have a lot of stuff alive, so I'm gonna water, hopefully get everybody looking and feeling a little bit better with watering, and yeah, so I'll show you around. I have the kittens helping me today. Jasper, come here, buddy. Oh, you're silly. Come here. Getting all dirty, huh? You getting all dirty? You're such a silly boy. Yes, you are. Alright, so this rock bed is really long, and I built this back in the spring. What we've had growing here is beans and snap peas. Obviously, the snap peas are really dead. The beans kind of tried to put on like a last round of beans, but they really didn't grow. Even like, I think it was just too hot. Even though I watered them, they didn't really grow. So the bigger ones that are there, I'm gonna leave them and dry them for seed saving. I love gourds. I love the warty little strange looking gourds. And in years past, I would go to the store and I would buy gourds, and then I'd like give them out to my family members, trying to make everyone love gourds as much as I do. So this year what I did is I decided that I would grow my own. So we still have a few. I have a huge basket actually that's overflowing inside the house, and I will show that to you. But I still have a few out here. So down at the end of this rock bed is where we have some spaghetti squash. Most of the vines have died. There was also some gourds in here, but I do have a few little gourds left. So most of the spaghetti squash is dying off. We have a couple left on here that I'm gonna grab. Right, you can kind of see them right there. Anyway, I'm gonna grab those and we're gonna actually have one of those for dinner tonight. So I'll go ahead and harvest those in a few minutes because this bed is pretty well dead. So the summer squash would put on those sad little squashes, and even watering them and everything, they just wouldn't really grow. So I'm thinking there's just like a lack of nutrition in this bed right here. So that's something we're gonna be working on this fall. And that way we're going into gardening season in the spring kind of better equipped with better soil so that things will thrive. So behind me right here, we have buttercup squash and butternut squash. And they just did okay too in this bed. I'm not surprised because I did kind of amend the soil a little bit as I went. However, this soil that we dumped here to kind of bring up the bank a little bit is really, it's just dirt that we got off of the property, like in other places where we had to kind of level. So it's just dirt that we got off the property and dumped it there. So I'm surprised that that it really grew anything, to be quite honest. So we tried growing corn this year and it was really just an experiment. Like Robert came out and literally just like drew like little trenches, like dug out little trenches and then planted the corn. And some of it did really well, surprisingly. However, last week when the fires kind of went crazy in our area, we had some really big windstorms come through and it flattened a lot of the stuff in the garden. There's really not much I could do with the corn. So it kind of just is what it is at this point. I think we'll get a few ears off of it. And I'm totally fine with that considering that it was completely kind of just a like throw it in the ground. We really didn't do much to it. We'll probably focus a little more on that next spring because Robert really likes corn, as do I. They're really out of control. But this bed right here, this long bed, that was like pumpkins. It had like Jack P. Little pumpkins, and at the end I think there's some jack-o'-lantern pumpkins. I think that's like the actual seed type. Anyway, so I haven't been able to mow out here, so the rows are just out of control. I wasn't weeding them, I was just mowing them because I can take my my push mower down between the rows and just kind of keep them down that way. But again, I haven't been able to come out here in about a week. I have absolutely no idea what this is. Over here, this was, I think there's watermelon kind of closest to me. And then down on the end, we planted eggplant. They did nothing. So we didn't plant just a ton of peppers this year. And about half of what we did plant didn't do anything. But the few bushes that we did have do fairly well, actually did really well. However, again, the windstorm that came through about a week ago just laid them over, and I keep standing them back up and they're just laying back over. So I'm just kind of like trying to prop them up. I'm not sure why they keep just falling over, but anyway, just kind of propping those up and just kind of harvesting what we do get off of them. So overall, I'm happy with anything that we get from them. This cherry tomato right here, you can see it's actually taller than me, I think. Granted, it is in the raised bed, but it's also kind of wrapped around itself, so it would be taller than me. This is my one store-bought plant. Robert and I had stopped in at like a farm feed store, and they had these out front. It's a Sweet 100, and it's put on pretty prolifically. It's a tomato, cherry tomato. So that's been kind of fun to see the store-bought plant that the one store-bought plant that we have versus all the ones that we've started from seed. So our tomatoes are doing really well. They're kind of doing the best, and I honestly didn't think they were going to do anything because of the cold temperatures that we were having, and they took a long time to get going. However, they are all of a sudden coming on really quickly. So every couple days I come out with a bucket. It's maybe like 2-gallon bucket, and I fill that up. And I've just been coring and scoring those. So cutting out the cores, scoring the bottom, and then I'm sticking them in the freezer. Because what I want to do is I would like to go, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and process like big batches of salsa once I kind of get them all in. We planted a lot of different varieties of tomatoes. I have several varieties of cherry tomatoes. My favorite this year is probably the black cherry. It's so good. It's not as sweet. It's not as sweet, but it just tastes so amazing. The Sweet 100 is also really good. That's my one store-bought cherry tomato that I bought. Another tomato that we have been really enjoying is it's an heirloom tomato, and it is the Black Krim, I believe. So anyway, that's basically a sum up of how the garden is doing. So it's doing okay. We've gotten a lot from the garden this year, despite the fact that I haven't had just a whole lot of time to put in it, and we've not had favorable weather conditions. I'm not sure how the smoke in the air is going to affect things. The tomatoes seem to be kind of ripening up now, and they're coming on pretty quickly, so that's nice. We've gotten a ton of green beans, a ton of sugar snap peas. We've gotten some zucchini and summer squash, several spaghetti squash. We're gonna get a little bit of corn, a couple of watermelons. We've gotten a decent number of peppers, and we'll get a ton of tomatoes. So overall, I'd call it a win. It's probably the best garden we've grown since we've been on this property, and we've been here almost 4 years. So overall, I'd say the garden is a win, and I hope you enjoyed this little update from our garden in smoky Southern Oregon. Hopefully we'll be back to you guys soon with clearer skies.